And they're like, no, I don't got time for that.
Yep.
But then 6 months go by, you're a bar manager now. And it's like, oh, hey, Ray, like, I saw you at the bar the other day, and, like, you work there? Yeah, I'm the manager. Oh, shit. Can I get guest list?
Yep.
Like, can I come in? Like, I'm like, bro, like, I'm making like a third of what I was making before.
Doesn't matter.
You know, I have no benefits through this shit. I have no anything.
Doesn't matter.
I'm like, the only thing I can do or provide you for a service is give you a free drink and, like, get you in a bar. And now we're best friends. Like,
Yeah, there's prestige to that.
hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's your host Ray.
And this is Max.
This is Drunk Words, Drunk Thoughts. We're coming at you live today with a little bit of advice. Gonna switch it up. We've done quite a few stories lately.
Yeah.
So, the topic today, and we will jump right into that in just a moment. Let me get a cheers quick, Max. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Man, those straws, man. Yes.
Steel straws.
Let's go.
Upgrading.
Yes.
But we are also drinking the Arizona Blackout. There's going to be a link right up here. Disclaimer, there is a lot of tequila in there. If you're a fan of tequila, perfect. But I recommend weekend drink. Don't operate heavy machinery type thing. Just a disclaimer, you know?
Just be easy on it.
Be easy on it, exactly. So, today we've got our topic, which is the advice one. It is your job the right one for you?
Yeah.
Very requested video. I know a lot of our viewers, including us as content creators, have asked ourselves this question at some point in our life. And it's just, is this job right for me?
Yeah.
Am I over here? Is it worth the unhappiness? Is it worth the, like, getting up at 4 in the morning? Is it worth the 2-hour commute into work?
Yeah.
Via, like, an OC transfer bus or an SCO or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Am I advancing? Am I learning anything?
Yep.
Am I smarter than everyone here? Am I smarter than my boss? Should I have my boss's job? Like, am I valued in this company? They don't even have a Christmas party. Why do I work here? You know, like, stuff like that. But what I will do is I'll jump into the journey, which I think everybody's always interested in, and it's good for you guys as viewers to know kind of how we got to where we got. So I'll start first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I mean, as far back as I can remember, man, I've done just about every job there is under the sun.
All right.
In my teen years, I was washing dishes, flipping burgers. I mean, at some point, I was like even a manager at a McDonald's, briefly.
Yeah.
Man, from there, you know, worked in a couple financial institutions.
Okay.
As a bank teller, as a personal banking officer, like opening accounts, like basic non-mortgage stuff, loans, all that stuff. Went from there to selling phones.
Yep.
Through a we won't disclose company, and
we're pretty amazing at it.
Got pretty amazing at that. Made some good coin doing that at a young age. Then, what did I do after that? Then back into the finance field, financial advisor.
Yep.
Selling life insurance. Not through one of those crummy, like, I won't name the company, but like not real financial institutions. For a real financial institution, then for another real financial institution. Then I got into managing a bar for a little bit. I don't know how that fell into my lap through business connections.
They're pretty spectacular on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay.
Yeah.
And then I worked at another bar for a little while as like a bartender.
Yeah.
And then after that,
there's that driving thing at one point.
Yeah, doing ride shares.
Yeah.
Then there was like construction, and that's kind of where I got to right now. And I've been with the union now for a few years doing that. What about yourself?
Okay. I think I started as like a general like labor, and at the time, man, I think I was like 15. I was paid like $5 an hour.
That's what it was back then, man.
Yeah, it was 2 hours every day during the summer, and I bought a bike for $100 for that. But so started doing that. Moved into call centers. First it was outbound, so I was the annoying guy telling you guys about lawn services in freaking February. calling people like in the middle of freaking supper. Hey, you want? No, I'm having supper. Yeah, my bad. It's like 6:03 because the machine was doing it automatically. So went from that to I worked at a retirement home for a little bit. I was serving food and cleaning around. Got another call center job. This time I was the person you would talk to if you had any changes to your account, or you wanted to, call me because you screwed up on the payment, and then we have to do arrangements. After that, I think I did another job like that as well for a company, electronics company that took over one. They had 2 stores running, then they took over. We can guess what the name is. They're kind of yellow and they're annoying. It was stupid because it was like either ringing red for that company or like yellow and blue for the other one. But it was the same same people doing both. And then I got into university. I wanted to be a lawyer, so I took criminology. Kept getting technical support jobs, and I ended up in IT. I ended up doing that for the government at first. Then, obviously, I got another company, another like third party supplier. So they're reselling shit for bigger companies. I won't name that company because they were shit. And got into the government again, and then in between got into a museum, and now I'm doing IT, and I'm doing it from home because of what's going on out there.
With COVID. Alright, well, I mean, you touched on this a little bit, and I think it's important because, we were all those kids in high school, like stars in our eyes, like super bright, like, aim for the stars but land on the moon type thing. I mean, you could be all you could be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Marine logo, I think, or something like that. But I just remember being a kid in high school, man. I was fucking sure I was going to be a lawyer. It didn't matter what.
That was your thing.
Didn't matter. I was going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, man, you got to be really good at English. And I look at my English score, and my English score is like a 56. And I'm like... They're like, yo, you gotta write essays, do case studies, stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, so what's not a lawyer then? But like, I'm good at it. I'm like, I'm good at math. My math scores were always pretty decent in high school. And I'm like, okay, so math. I'm like, okay, I'll be a CA, like a certified accountant. I'm like, that's the boss's one anyway, because it's CPA, CMA. Now they're all fucking designated as under CAs now. Not back then. But I was like, I'm going to be a CA. And then they're like, okay, no problem. You want to be a CA? You need to know calculus. And I was like, fuck with calculus, though. And I'm like, but like the other maths under calculus I'm so good at. And they're like, no, but it's got to be calculus. I'm like, I'm like, all right, so what's not that? And then I was kind of like lost, man. Like a lot of kids. I went to school at 17, like university, and I'm over here at 17. They're like, pick your career. Pick your career for life. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And I'm like, well, I mean, I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I wanted to be a CA. And now I have no idea what the fuck I'm going to do. They're like, no problem. Perfect course for you. We're going to put you in general arts so you can figure it out. And in the meantime, you just take all your electives the first 2 years. And then by the second year, you can declare. And then your electives will be done, so you just take your prerequisites. I'm like, okay, why not? I want to go to university like everybody else. That sounds cool. So I do that. I end up getting no further ahead doing that. I end up just working in a bunch of financial institutions like I've listed off and rattled off. And, get no further there. Do a year of college with a B45, 45-week administration course. And get that certificate. And then, basically did nothing with it.
Damn.
And man, it's so funny because you go like what you want to do versus what you do, right? Like I wanted to be a lawyer. What do? I work with my hands now, and I'm in construction. I'm a mason tender for the union. So that's pretty different, man. I mean, I was supposed to be showing up in like a fucking powdered wig because that's the Canadian law system. Show up in a powdered wig and be like, your worship this, or your magistrate this, or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, all right, is the mud too soft? Do you want me to harden the mud? Like, you know, where do you want me to stack these blocks? Okay, I'm putting the frames up over there, like, you know, and like it's just it's like mindless work that I do now, right?
Yeah.
There's obviously you have to have some sort of mental capacity to do it,
sure.
but like, it's so different, right?
Yeah.
I'm working with my hands versus working with my head, like I thought I would be doing.
Yeah.
Do you have that kind of?
No, for sure. Because for me, obviously, like I also wanted to be a lawyer. And yeah, the counselor, I think same thing as you. You get to grade 12 and they're like, so, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm good with computers. Never thought of it as like a studying thing because it was like, man, I got that in the bag, so I'm good. And same thing with cars. Do you want to be a mechanic? Nah, like I do that on weekends. Like I'm good. And so I picked up those 3 programs, all in the same university, and then the first one was criminology. I got all 3 letters saying you're accepted because it was literally like it's one, and then the branch off of the other one. You get criminology. What was it? Maybe general arts, and then the other one was like sociology or whatever. So it's all within the same branch of things. And then as I was going through it, the breakthrough for me was, I think, second year during the summer. I applied at a job, to be like a junior, like I guess criminologist or whatever, and I didn't get the job. And for some odd reason, that rang the bell to me because I was like, wait, so that was a job for a student. My grades were pretty up there because I think the year and a half I didn't pay for school at all because of all the grants I was getting. And I'm like, wait, so I'm doing this, I'm supposed to do this for a career, but I can't get that right now. And I need to pay my bills and all that. I'm like, okay, there's an issue here. And then I went into the IT field, sort of like, okay, I can be on the phone and then, I'll be the annoying guy and being like, yeah, like just, press a button, like reset your modem and tell me what it's doing and all of this nonsense. But as I was doing that, I got better in, setting up printers, setting up cell phones, setting up computers, setting up servers, and it's all stuff that I teach myself and then taking like lessons from other people doing it in front of me. Because I'm a very good learner. If someone like shows me how to do something, like if I look at it, mistake, like that's it, it's mine. Forget it.
I think it segues nicely into like a good point, because I mean you talked about the IT versus obviously like having something to do with criminology or being a lawyer.
Yeah.
I look at it like this, like I've been on the bus, man, when I'm covered in dust in my construction gear, my full outfit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When I first started in the union, I had like 2 nickels to rub together.
Yeah.
I had to take the bus everywhere. I was busing like 2 hours to a job site, 2 hours back.
Yeah.
With like 70 pounds of gear.
Mm-hmm.
But you did what you gotta do.
Yeah, man.
That would be my grandfather's story of walking 20 miles in the snow uphill, and then uphill on the way back.
Yep.
But my whole thing is, I used to see the looks, man. I get on the bus, I'm covered in dust, my helmet's rattling everywhere off my bag because it's like clipped on.
Yeah.
And like, everyone's like looking at me like I'm trash because like, literally it's just where my glasses are. And then that's the line, and the rest is just dust, right?
Yeah.
And people just used to look at me like, oh man, this dude's like trash and everything like that.
Yeah.
And like, I just laughed, man, because like I even had an ex, and like her attitude was, oh, I'm like mid-level government, everything like that.
Right.
And I went to school, I got a master's degree and shit like that.
Right. And
then we got into this conversation of like, prestige and like why her job's so prestigious, why a construction worker's job is viewed like a 1 star out of 5, stuff like that.
You guys had that conversation.
100%. And then the thing is, like, it's always so interesting to me because like everybody wants to kind of scoff at these people that work with their hands, or in your attitude, like, oh, you're just some IT guy pushing a button, right?
Yep.
Versus being a lawyer, right? The irony for me is I was making more money than her in the government. I was making like, I think I cleared like 85, 90 that year. and she's over here making 70 something, mid-level government. And she got mad. She's
Why?
like, what? She's like, why are you making more than me when I have education, like a certificate, saying that she has a master's degree and she went to school for an extra 2 years, versus you, myself, who is like, oh well, all you have is some college degree and you just work with your hands.
So is she mad about the fact that, okay, so if you had a master's degree in whatever,
That's what she's mad about, because the whole thing is like, I think the big breakdown is, you get into what you want it to be versus what you're doing, right? I always thought I'd be a lawyer because when you're a kid, your mom's, it doesn't matter what ethnicity you are, your mom is like, yo, be a doctor or be a lawyer, because their attitude is, or an engineer, because like their attitude is, well, it's a prestigious job.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a lot of money.
You're gonna get paid.
And then I know that you're set, and I don't have to worry about you.
It's true.
Right?
Yep.
If I'm a construction worker, okay, depending on your trade, depending on what you do, you're either union, non-union. If you're union, you tend to make a little bit more, but not necessarily. And okay, are you taken care of? Are you in danger every day? Probably. Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and the whole thing is, it's just like, but what is the perceived prestige of that, right? People are still gonna scoff at you and be like, oh man, that dude's just covered in dust. He's fucking dirty, all this shit. And I'm like, okay, but like, we're the people that like go home and have boats. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a boat, but like, you know what I mean? And it's like, for you, it's the same thing. Oh, he's just a guy that like tells people to turn the router on, turn the router off.
Yeah.
But like, joke's on them, man. Like, you're over here, you're making good coin. I'm making good coin, and it's like, but it's not a prestigious job, right?
For sure. But I think.
But you could be a lawyer just starting out. You could be making 30 grand, busting your ass, doing all this stuff, coming out of school, and you find out that there's no market for your job, or you're a teacher. You come out of school, and you find out that you're on a waiting list, and you're behind 100 other applicants that have all just come out of school, and they're more qualified than you are because they're younger, better grades. You know what I mean? They interview better. They know French. Maybe they're bilingual. And you're not. And now you're looking for an English-only position, so you got to move out to like Rockland or something like that.
Yeah, that's gonna be rough.
Can't teach in the city, and it's like, it's all these things because I've seen myself change. In terms of how I view the world, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I started working with my hands, because a lot of the people that I work with, right? Every day I see them, and every day I'm like, this is somebody that like if I would have saw like 10, 15 years ago, being a young lad, just like seeing on a bus trip or like, walking down the street, I would have been like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, I used to remember like being a kid and like, you were making fun of like the garbage man and shit like that, and now like we're all laughing because like the garbage men, their pensions are bankrupting the fucking cities and shit like that because they're making so much money. I remember there was literally an episode of Arthur. You remember Arthur, that show with the fucking anteater guy? Yeah. The walking down the street. Yeah. So there was an episode, and I think it was Francine, like his friend or something like that. Like, her dad was a garbage man, and she was like super embarrassed. And then like they went over to Francine's house, and her dad, the garbage man, had all this like fucking extra shit that he had picked up, like couches, all this stuff that he had refurbished and redone, and basically built an entire fucking jungle gym, all this shit out of refurbished shit. Didn't cost him a dime, he just did it on his own coin. And he was a garbage man, he was making good money. But the whole job was, oh, well, that job's smelly, that guy's dirty, oh, he's a piece of shit, all this stuff, like, but like, it's because people don't understand, like, there's a perceived value whenever you go into these jobs, right? There's always that, and it's like, okay, well, how is society gonna view me working this job or working that job or, taking this position? When you get into, like, your circle of friends, and they start telling you, hey, man, I'm super excited for you to get a job as a bar manager. But meanwhile, the same friends are the ones that you contacted like 6 months ago, and you're like, man, like, I'd like to talk to you about like, your finances and preparing your family for insurance and stuff like that. And they're like, no, I don't got time for that. But then 6 months go by, you're a bar manager now. And it's like, oh, hey, Ray, like, I saw you at the bar the other day, and, like, you work there? Yeah, I'm the manager. Oh, shit. can I get guest list?
Yep.
Like, can I come in? Like, I'm like, bro, like, I'm making like a third of what I was making before.
Doesn't matter.
You know, I have no benefits through this shit. I have no anything.
Doesn't matter.
I'm like, the only thing I can do or provide you for a service is give you a free drink and like get you in a bar. And now we're best friends. Like,
Yeah, there's prestige to that. And the funny thing to me is, and I had the same thing when I was working at the government. What I realized with a lot of people is you can tell the people that are really worried about the prestige and the people that are not, because in the building I was in, right, there was a lot of floors. So I think we owned at the time it was the 4th up until the 12th floor. It was all government, right? The first 3 was CBC. So the director, like there would be like the director of IT just coming out. He's all in black. You don't see his badge. You don't see nothing. Like I know him because I had to do something in his office. But he comes out, gets his lunch, comes back up. He's the one like dealing with budget, doing all of that, right? But a lot of people in my unit, they're out there. They put the badge out, and then it's almost like a badge of honor or something, because they get to walk around with a badge out saying, yeah, it says Government of Canada in the corner, and they were happy about that. And I'm just like, but who cares? Like, I just need the badge to go to work. Like, I don't care. So a lot of people used to show up, dress up to the T. I'm like, I'm about to like crawl like on, under desks and like dust. There's a lady with like 14 different pairs of shoes. And I'm like, I'm gonna deal with that. You want me to dress up? I don't care. I'm making the same amount of money as you, right? The best part was the assistants of MPs, right? So members of parliament, you would go into the offices, deal with all their IT stuff, and then you got maybe like a 20-year-old like in front of you, dressed to the nines, and then all like she's just taking the phone. That's what she does, but the way she's acting, well, look, okay, well, I'm gonna reschedule because like the minister is not here, and like he didn't like how his office was set, so you need to come back. And I'm like, you're doing all of this extra shit, but like, look, I make more than you. It's all good.
I'll come back tomorrow.
I'll come back, and I would come back with the same baggy clothes, with my same big ass duffel bag, with everything, and then again she would show up like dressed to the T again. Like, look, good on that girl, looks great. But I was just like, the entitlement that this lady had, because she was just like, well, like I called him here. I'm like, no, you're not the member of parliament. You need to calm down. And that was a joke for me, because those members of parliament, down to earth people, like you wouldn't believe.
Hopefully, lots of good material and lots of good points there, including our journeys, what we've been through, and hopefully you can learn and take away a couple things from that. As always, guys, please leave a comment. Maybe there's something that's you've been through that could be super helpful for somebody else to read. So go ahead and throw that down below. In addition, please give us that like. Help us with our road to 100 subscribers. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What do we do to the bell?
We hit the bell. Let's go.
And we're out.